Hey, and welcome to another edition of Lab Rats. My name is Andy Walker.
I'm Sean Carruthers.
And this is a show where we demystify technology, help you with your gadgets, and even teach you a few tips and tricks around the internet so you can live a better techno-enabled life.
Sounds good to me.
And speaking of techno-enabled life, today we're going to talk to you all about how to shorten uniform resource locators.
Uniform? I thought you wanted your uniform resource locators bigger and better.
You know, do you know what a uniform resource locator is?
That's a locator that is uniform and
It's a handy resource.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah. Now we're talking about URLs or web addresses. And you know when you go to Amazon or Flickr or something and you have this enormous web address.
Yes.
An enormous uniform resource locator, a URL.
You know, I bet a lot of people out there have used the term URL and not known what it actually stood for.
I only found out recently, like moments ago.
There we go.
Anyway.
Well, you don't need to know what it stands for to know how to shorten it.
No, but it is a problem. So today we're going to show you not only how to edit those URLs to make them shorter and more usable, but also there's some tools out there to help you deliver an email and Twitter and on text messaging and things like that. So
very good.
So that's what we're going to show you today. So with that, let's take a break, and when we come back, how to shorten your URL today on Lab Rats. So URLs, you know, it's one of the interesting, actually, developments of history in the internet. You know, way back in the day, you know, URLs were pretty straightforward, right? They were like www.something.com / maybe sean.html.
Yes.
And if you notice these days, you know, you go to Amazon, you go to any of these sort of convoluted sites, even Facebook, places like that. You know, they're enormously long. So the question is, well, why?
Okay.
Right? And one of them in behind the scenes is that technology for delivering web pages on servers, which are the computers that actually run the internet and serve up all these pages, is they're all database enabled these days. So that long, what they call a query string, is actually a call that says, hey database, give me this page with this look. And this is the user that's calling it and that sort of thing. So it's actually a bunch of information.
That was a bit of information. Maybe we need to back up and explain how these things were served in the first place.
Go for it.
Okay, so as you said, back in the early day, things were very short, and that was because when people did a page, they would create a page, and that was it. That page was that page. And it was, if you wanted this page, and then that page, and that page, well, you had to code all three of those pages. So this one would be, you know, 1.html, this would be 2.html, this would be 3.html. So we've got each of these things, and they're fixed. They're static pages. And what you're talking about, querying the database, it's, you know, dynamic, so that instead of the web page being all predetermined right off the bat, this is the page, this is how it's going to look forever and a day. Now we're saying, okay, now we're going to create it dynamically, a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of that, and it's all going to be put together.
Well, that's perfect, right? Because then you can customize the page based on the user experience.
Exactly.
So if you're in Germany, for example, then the page can actually draw elements that relate to, you know, to German people. Or you know, if you've actually logged in and you always want the borders to be red, well then it knows that you are asking, you are you, and it'll show you the red borders for you and maybe blue borders for you.
Yeah, or to use your example of, say, Amazon with its very long search strings, you have this entire page, it has a template where this goes here, that goes there, and that goes there. Just imagine if you had to make every single one of those things, every book that you ever did, its very own page. Right. You'd have millions of these pages that would have to be hand-coded, adjusted, and all of that. So,
and then something changes, and suddenly you have to go back and find it. So
yeah, and something changes, you have to hand code and make those changes in a million different documents.
Right.
So this dynamic page serving, where it takes a bit of this and a bit of that, and you just change your database at the back end where all those little bits of information are stored, makes it a whole lot easier.
That's right. But the problem, of course, is it causes these long, long URLs. Now, URLs are a problem, like long URLs are a problem for several reasons, right?
Yes.
Like, okay, so have you ever tried to cut and paste a long Amazon URL into an email? And then you send it to your mom, and she clicks on it and goes, hey, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
What kind of email? And actually, I have a sample of that here. Let's just have a look at that. So here I pulled an Amazon URL, and as you can see, It's wraps into 3 lines, and only the first piece has a hypertext link on it. So of course, when you click on it, it's not going to go to anywhere useful. Now the reason that happens is because most email programs have a maximum character count for each line of 80 characters. So if you actually count all these characters here, you'll count actually 80 characters. And then it breaks, and there's a return, and then it continues, right? So it's the email program itself that's actually not being very smart and breaking the URL and causing all these problems.
Yeah, and of course, if you look inside the URL, this long one that you get from Amazon or whatever, you also notice these funny control characters like question marks and things like that that are basically saying to the database, okay, I want this or that. It's a command, basically, in that URL saying to go do this particular thing. And sometimes when you paste that, your email client or something else that you're putting it into has no clue what that means, and it just sort of says, oh, that's the end of the line.
That's the end of the line, exactly. So let me show you a real straightforward way about manually editing, say, an Amazon URL. And you can do this with pretty much any long URL if you kind of know what you're looking for. So I'm going to show you how we do it with Amazon. I think, Sean, you're going to show us with Flickr in a minute.
Yes.
And then maybe from there you can kind of learn that any long URL can be edited. And let me show you how it works. So I'm going to go over to Amazon over here. I'm going to search for my Windows Vista Help Desk book, which you should buy, by the way. Click Go. And we're going to see a long URL here at the top, as you can see. And I'm going to choose that page. And what you're going to get is actually, so you can see Amazon.com. That's the first piece of it there. Of course, we need that, right? And actually, but it has http://. You could technically remove that from the URL.
In some cases. Sometimes there's secure pages and you don't want to get rid of it.
Right. But under most, you could actually drop it, especially if you're emailing it. If it's a banking URL, but even if it's a secure URL that you're sending somebody, they're going to have to revalidate it anyway, so HTTPS, if it has that, it's not going to work for them. So let's take that out.
Yeah, it's just assumed. In a lot of cases, the www at the beginning is also assumed, so you can even drop that potentially.
You could drop that, and not all web servers work with that, but let's take that out as well. But Amazon.
That's set up by the web server themselves, so
right. So let's take Amazon.com. Now the next thing is Microsoft-Windows-Vista-Help Desk. Well, that's okay. And then there's a /DP, which is a code that they're using. And then there's a number. And that's actually a universal number that they use to locate a book or a product on Amazon. Everything beyond that, there's ref equals PD_BBS, blah, 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 and it goes on and on and on. That's actually an indicator that denotes the session, and perhaps if it recognizes me, then me as well. So I can actually, everything after that last slash, you can see I'm pulling it out here, is gone. So now I've gone from double the size to only half the size. So if I create a new browser here and I put that in, hit enter, that's going to find exactly the page that I want with half the characters. So
there you go.
So show us how to do it on Flickr.
Well, Flickr is, the URLs aren't anywhere near as long, but there's still a way you can shorten them. So I'm at one of the pages, photographs that I've taken recently. And you'll notice when you, over on the right-hand side, you actually have the ability to go through to different photographs. So if you look at the URL at the top here, when I click through to the next one, it's very similar, but it's added /in/photostream. That just simply means that that's in my photo stream and you've clicked through to it. But you know what? You can actually just get rid of that at the very end and just click through, and you know what? You get exactly the same page that you just got before. It just doesn't remember where you were, I guess. And again, you notice this one has no www at the beginning. We can get rid of the HTTP. And so now we've got that. It'll re-add the HTTP, but we've actually just shortened it by 7 characters and then the in photo stream. So we've gotten 20 characters or so just gone.
Gone. Amazing. That's great.
And the other thing that's kind of interesting is with Flickr, if you're using a Flickr image in another location, so you've got a blog and you want to use it, you might notice if you copy the image location and pop it into the top here, you've got farm, forest, lab, blah, 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 all that. But at the end, you've always got this $v=0. Okay, well, click through to that, and you'll see it actually takes you directly to the photograph, but you can actually get rid of that v=0 at the end. And this isn't a huge shortening, but we've just killed another 4 characters doing that.
Very good. So, so the reason why you would have shortened, of course, would be one would be email. You want to get it under 80 characters. So you've achieved that. I achieved that with Amazon here. But there are certain circumstances where you want ultra short URLs. And there's a couple of services that will do that. They're called redirects or email forwarding services. So I want to show you a few of those because that's useful perhaps on Twitter if you're familiar with the twitter.com website. It's a microblogging service, right, where you can only put 140 characters when you broadcast out to people. So if you want to shorten to as short as possible. And of course, if you're going to text message as well, you don't want to type 1 million characters there. You only want to type a few. So that's the other reason why you'd want to use a short URL service. Let's start with the granddaddy of them all.
It's a classic.
It's a classic called tinyurl.com. Now, tinyurl.com is very simple. Simply, I'm going to take the URL that I grabbed off of Amazon, and I'm going to cut and paste it here into the box on tinyurl. And then down below here, I can actually customize and say, this is my Vista book. So I'm going to type Vista AW, right? Which is, and then when I click on make a tiny URL, you'll see that it's going to give me tinyurl.com/Vista AW. Now I can take that URL, right? And in fact, I grab it right here, and I'm going to create a new window. If I hit enter now, it's going to come. It's going to pull up the Amazon page.
Yeah, and this can be the entirety of the long address that you had before you started hacking away at bits and pieces. So you can actually have the huge
URL, so you lose nothing.
Yeah, and it'll remember all of the punctuation, everything behind the punctuation, just anything you put into there, it'll remember.
Now, if you don't want to have to type in your own customized Vista AW or whatever you want, then it will actually assign you a random string of numbers as well, which is kind of handy. Fast, quick, and the original. Now, because it's been so successful, there's a whole bunch of different services that have actually said, oh, we can do this better. So I want to show you another service that I quite like called Snip, or Snip URL. And Snip URL works very similarly to tinyurl, except that now your URL starts with either you have a choice of 4. snipurl.com, which is the longest one, snurl.com, snipper, or sn.im, which is the smallest of all. Now, so not only can you choose the URL you're going to use, but you can also save the snips, they call it the snips, that you've created.
sn.im.
Snim.
Snim.
So if I go to so I've created an account here, it's free. If I click on Manage Snips, you can see all of the snips I've created, which is sn.im/futurebook, the book I wrote with Nick Sagan, called, you call this The Future. And
yes, he has written more than one book, and we'll probably hear about another one.
And I just created a generic one called snipimchvct, and that's my second book, the Vista book that I wrote. Anyway, so I've categorized them all, I've saved them and that sort of thing. And everybody's going, come on, let's go. But finally, and there's another site called bit.ly.
Yes.
Bit.ly, right?
bit.ly. And it's roughly the same sort of concept. It's got the optional custom name as well. But we have this up right here. I've put one of that Flickr photos that I put in there. And when you click shorten, you'll get not only the shortened URL here, but one thing you'll notice here is there's something below here that says post to Twitter, and it automatically puts that in there. So if you use Twitter and you're using this for Twitter, you can actually click the sign in here below and get access to your account and just post directly to your Twitter account from here.
Right.
So that it is a bit of a time saver. It's gotten a few other features if you sign up. One other, you mentioned sn.im. The shortest URLs around is the tagline of this other one. It's is good, is.gd. And they do roughly the same thing. You just put the URL into the window, compress that address, and there you go. You get this one, and this one is is.gd/kg7j. That's a total of, looks like 10 characters.
That's very good. So
down from like 30 or 40 before. And if you had like one of those Amazon addresses, just imagine that's compressing it down way more than it would.
It's remarkable, yeah. Now I do want to mention one other. So if you don't want to snip and you don't want tinyurl and you want your own customized one, for example, I have a domain called bumfluff.com. I know, I like it though, bumfluff.com, right? So I use that on a service called hover.com. Now hover.com is a website where you can register your domains and you can use this forwarding service that they have. Now, one little caveat here. Hover.com is owned by our parent, 2Cows. So this is a bit of a self-promotion kind of deal, but I do want to tell you about it because it's kind of cool. So go to hover.com and you can register any domain you want or bring one in and then actually create the forwarding service yourself. So for example, here, I've created something called work. And so bumfluff.com/work, is the Google Maps address to Tucows, for example.
Ugh.
I know you don't.
Why don't you use your other one? I know you have another one.
I have technologytips.com, but that's a little longer.
It's a bit longer, but it's a little bit more palatable.
I know. But anyway, so if you can come up with your own short URL, you can use it on the Hover service. And anyway, there you go. That's my little self-promotion thing. Internal, it's my corporate duty here. Just
there you go. Well done.
Thank you, sir. Okay. All right, well, let's take a break. And when we come back, we've got Mr. Mobile coming up with another installment about what's going on out there in the world of mobile phones. And I guess we have pictures too, right?
We have some pictures.
All right, well, let's take a look after this. Well, before we get to pictures, let's go and see Mr. Mobile, Jay Goldman. Does he have a tiny URL?
He probably does.
That's right, but we don't know what it is right now. So just check it out. Actually, stay with us, and we'll be back after Mr. Mobile and his weekly segment about cell phones.
Hi, I'm Jay Goldman. You're watching Mr. Mobile. Today we're going to take a look at an application for the iPhone that brings one of your favorite social networks straight into your phone, Facebook. Now, many of you are probably Facebook members and you use it on your desktop in Internet Explorer or in Firefox, and it's a pretty great experience, but what happens when you're out on the road and you urgently need to change your Facebook status? Now, you can get to Facebook through Mobile Safari, and that'll give you an experience that's somewhere in between a mobile phone version of Facebook and the full desktop experience. But I recommend the Facebook application because it's really been built to give you the optimal Facebook experience right here on your phone. Once you load it up on the phone, and it's a free download from the App Store, you'll get an icon for Facebook. And before I just jump into the application, take a note that this shows me how many items are actually in my mailbox that are unread. Now, at the moment, because the iPhone doesn't yet support push notification, I actually have to run the application to see how many items are in there. But when push notification does come to the platform, it will do this automatically for me, and I'll see that little badge on its own. Opening it up gives me something that's quite familiar looking compared to the Facebook experience on the desktop computer. Same kind of colors and that kind of thing. And it drops me right into my news feed so I can see what all my friends have been up to. And this little bar across the top here actually scrolls sideways. So although right now it's on top stories, I can jump straight into something like photos if I want to see the photos that my friends have loaded on. I can also get all the notifications that have come to me from different applications and from people posting on my walls or making friend requests, that kind of thing. And I can see any requests that have come in to me that are new, so this will be actual friend requests rather than people accepting friend requests. So that actually is the camera button to upload a new photo, and that actually does allow me to upload a photo directly to my Facebook. So there's the request wall, and if I do tap on that camera icon, this will actually allow me to take a photo or choose existing photo from my iPhone and upload that straight into the Photos application on Facebook. Down across the bottom here, I've got different icons that let me, for example, jump into my inbox and see the messages that are waiting for me, and I can also see anything that I've sent from there. And I can also go and look up any of my friends, and this includes a search for them. I can take a look at who's online right now and chat with them live using Facebook Chat. That was a feature that came to the desktop application only a couple of months ago and has already made its way down into the iPhone version. And I can see my own profile page and see my wall info and photos that have been uploaded. Now, you can't do everything that you can do on normal Facebook through the application. So for example, sometimes people will invite you into applications. You'll get the notification on the iPhone version, but you won't actually be able to go into the application to complete it. Some of the Facebook native applications like events actually haven't come down to the iPhone version yet, so sometimes you'll get invited to an event, but you can't go and view the event itself. But all told, this is actually a huge improvement over the first version of the iPhone application that came out. This one allows you to do a whole bunch more stuff. So if you tried it once before and you weren't that impressed, give it another shot. See if they fix the things that you weren't all that happy with. And again, free download from the App Store. Just search for Facebook. I'm Jay Goldman. This has been Mr. Mobile. Thanks for watching. Check us out on butterscotch.com for more episodes or more of the other great butterscotch.com shows.
All right, well, let's move on to picture time, picture time, picture time. You have lots of pictures today?
We have a few pictures, but we've shortened them down into a tinier amount. One interesting thing I just thought of, by the way,
Yes.
you mentioned the custom URL and tiny URL. You can do that with other ones as well. One thing you really have to resist the urge to do is customize them to the point where they're longer than the original URL.
That's very true.
We got something recently from our man Ted behind the scenes where he set up bit.ly/butterscotchtv, and that was actually longer than our original URL. It pointed to the shorter butterscotch.com, but
But heck,
but you know what? It's customization, and there you go.
there's a certain amount of satisfaction there as well.
It's fun, even though it's sort of pointless at that point in terms of shortening. Anyways,
Got it. Okay, good.
so let's make this go a little bit quicker now with some photographs.
Okay.
So first of all, we've got Colin from Belgium. He has a setup here with a few different things in here, which one computer and a stereo and, you know, I guess some good IKEA furniture as well in there. I know where you got your paper tray, Colin.
That's right, exactly.
There
Even
you
in
go.
Belgium.
Even in Belgium. All right.
All right.
Next up, we have our friend Philip from Edmonton.
Yeah.
And Philip we've seen on the show before, but not in this location.
That's at the West Edmonton Mall, isn't it?
That is in the West Edmonton Mall. That's actually in the third wing.
Right.
No, he's actually at the Great Wall in this particular picture. And next picture, maybe we'll see him at the Eiffel Tower or on the moon or something like that. He's
Yeah,
on the move.
we like your pictures when you're like in like crazy places around the world.
Yeah.
You know, including if you're at the West Edmonton Mall, which is the world's largest mall, I think. Yeah, it still is.
There's been ping-ponging between that and something in Minnesota, but you know, there's probably something even bigger now somewhere else. Who knows?
Okay. Okay, good.
So, next up, we have Alik from Montreal, and this is his setup. We got more setups than actual pictures this time, and this one's a little bit dark, but it looks like he's got an AMAC going on there, and he's got a full-on computer with the side open and a couple of monitors, so it's pretty nerdy.
It's very nerdy.
I like it.
Nice work. Well, we love to see your pictures of your stuff, you know, your tricked out, rocked out computers and your desks and stuff like that, your TV setups. We like to see pictures of you too, of course.
And your pets, of course. We haven't seen pets in a little bit.
We haven't. We have to bring our pets back.
Yeah.
Biff and Boo. People can be complaining, since you moved to the studio, we haven't seen Biff and Boo. Well, I vow to take a camera home and shoot some footage of Biff and Boo to let you know how they are doing.
Biff and Boo Cam.
There you go. All right. Okay, good. Don't forget, of course, you can see more shows like this, more episodes of Lab Rats on butterscotch.com. That's our parent company, owned by Two Cows, or a parent website, I should say. There's 6 or 7 different shows on there, including hundreds and hundreds of tutorials. So if you want to learn about how to use Flickr better, how to use YouTube, Facebook for grown-ups, we have a whole series on that, a series on iPhone basics and things like that. Check it out at butterscotch.com. Lots of free content, it's all video, and it's made for you.
Yeah, and if you want to see something, be sure to click on the feedback link there and send us your request for content.
And if you come across an episode that you really like, in fact, we're going to give you a t-shirt. So send us in your favorite episode, tell us why, and we'll show a little clip of it, and we'll send you a butterscotch t-shirt. That's on a future show. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for watching today. Thanks for pushing play or downloading, or however you got to us. My name's Andy Walker.
I'm Sean Carruthers.
And we'll see you next time.
Are you ready?
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, how to shorten your URLs today on Lab Rats. Good, really good.
Okay, one quick thing though. You said universal. It's a uniform resource locator.